Hi, this is Leonard from Kosmic Sound and welcome to another video from our high-tech department. Today we're going to do another comparison video for you, and we're going to be looking at studio headphones. So we're going to talk a bit about what you want out of a set of studio headphones for different uses, some key features that you should be aware of when buying studio headphones, and then we're going to show you a few different models and give you some direct comparisons. So before we get into it, let's first of all talk about why you might want headphones in your studio. There are a couple of reasons. First of all, if you're just starting out and you can't afford to get yourself a decent set of studio monitors at this point, investing in a decent set of headphones is a really good idea rather than using cheap computer speakers, because it'll give you that full representation across the frequency range. So that's one reason. Secondly is if you already own a set of monitors and you've got your studio up and running, it's always good to have a second thing to reference from. So headphones can be particularly good for checking the stereo field and also checking the bass. And of course, the third reason is going to be if you're going to be doing any recording with a condenser microphone. So wearing a set of closed back headphones in this case is essential so that you don't get any bleed back into the microphone, and also enables the performer to be able to hear what's going on with either the click track or the rest of the music. So that raises the question of what makes a good set of studio headphones, and how are these different to a set of normal headphones that you might use for listening? Well, it comes down to character, and it's pretty much exactly the same as studio monitors versus hi-fi speakers. So the headphones that you might buy just for listening to music, or even the ones that you might use for DJing, they're designed to hype the sound up. So they're going to give you extended bass or lots more bass. The tops as well can be exaggerated. A set of good studio headphones will provide exactly what is in the music, nothing more and nothing less. And this is very important, of course, because you need to be hearing exactly what's in the music so that you can then fix anything that's wrong with it. The hype sound may not tell you what's wrong with it, as it's designed to make the sound better anyway. So much better to listen to your music on a set of completely flat headphones. You'll be able to pick out anything that's wrong, especially with your stereo panning and with your bass. Okay, so let's first of all talk about some things that you might want to look for in your set of headphones. And when you pick up a set of headphones, you're going to see a whole bunch of specs on the side of the box. And this, of course, is going to tell you what these headphones will do. So some key features that you need to look at when you're checking this out. First of all, frequency response. So this is going to tell you what frequencies the headphones are able to present to you. And you'll see a low-end reading, which will be in hertz, and a high-end reading, which will be in kilohertz. So that's one pretty important aspect, so that you know that whatever music you're making is going to be represented truly on the headphones. The second thing you're going to want to look for is the Spl rating on the headphones, and what that's about is just telling you the maximum output you can get from in terms of volume, loudness. Beyond that, probably another really important point to talk about is the difference between closed back and open back headphones. And this is probably the biggest consideration that you're going to need to take into account when you're buying your headphones, because each type will be suited to a different purpose. So the major thing you will find with open back headphones is they will sound better than closed back headphones. But they're not always as useful in noisy environments, because sound will leak in and out. So basically, if you're in a room where there's lots of other people around you, if you're using them as booth headphones and you don't want leakage into your microphone, you're much better off to get a set of closed back headphones. If you're looking for better sound, and this is just for use for mixing or referencing on comparing to your studio monitors, then open back headphones are a much better option to go for, because you're going to get a wider or truer sound stage and also tighter bass. So another really important thing to consider, which is something a lot of people won't look at, is resistance. And you'll see this marked on the packaging of any set of headphones. It's measured in ohms, and you'll see it represented by the omega symbol. So why is this really important? And what it really comes down to are two things. So if the resistance is higher on the headphones, what you'll find is you're much less likely to get noise on the signal, so you'll get a much cleaner tone. And if you're using this for mixing on, then obviously this is a much better option. The trade-off for this, of course, is that the headphones will be much quieter, because there's a higher level of resistance in the cable. So what you may find is that some audio interfaces, or definitely things like iPods, won't be able to drive the headphones loud enough, and you may need to get an external headphone preamp. So another important consideration, if your headphones are going to get a hammering, which they probably will if they're in your studio for a number of years, is thinking about them having replaceable parts. So obviously you don't want to be having to shell out for a new set of headphones every couple of years, so it can be really handy if you buy a set that have replaceable parts. We'll take an example here. These are the Sennheiser Hd25s, and what's really awesome about these headphones is that every part of them is replaceable. So the pads can be replaced, the cable which comes with the headphones can be totally replaced. It can be exchanged for a coiled cable if you prefer that. The headband can be replaced. Pretty much every single thing on these headphones can be replaced, which is going to save you a lot of money in the long run. So another really important thing to think about when you're buying your set of headphones is comfort. Obviously you're going to be sitting there wearing these things for a lot of hours, so you want to make sure that you're going to be comfortable while you're wearing them. And often, headphones can cause a lot of problems with, sitting on your ears, making your ears hurt. If they're too tight, you feel like you sort of have a clamp on your head. So you want things that are going to sit on your head really nicely and not cause you any bother and allow you to do your work without having any physical problems. And the most important thing here is to make the distinction between the two major types of cups on headphones. First of all, we have Circumaural. So this is a set of Circumaural headphones, and you'll see that the cup is quite big, so this will fit right around your entire ear. If we take a look at a different set of headphones, so say again the Hd25s here, the cup is much smaller, and that's called Supraaural. It'll sit on top of your ear. So if we think about that a bit more, what we can find from that is that these headphones will be a lot more comfortable to wear for a lot of hours because they're not pressing down on your ears. Other things you might want to look at is the head strap, finding one which actually is comfortable on top of your head to wear for a long time. And finally, lightness or weight is really important as well. So you don't want to have something really heavy on your head if you're going to be wearing them for lots of hours. So when you're looking at your headphones, most likely you're going to want a Circumaural set because they'll be way more comfortable. The only reason you might want to look at Supraaural is if you need something that's a bit lighter, as they're often quite a bit smaller. So the first set of headphones I'm going to show you are these ones that are made by Sennheiser. These guys make a great range of headphones for studio application, for DJs, and also they have a great consumer line as well. These ones are the Hd280s, so they're in their professional line. They're great for producers. The reason why these ones might be more useful to you than others is that they are closed back is the primary reason, so you're going to get a lot less sound leakage in and out. These ones will actually attenuate 32 decibels, so you shouldn't have any sound leakage. They're particularly useful if you're a student. They're great for applications such as working in a computer lab. So very, very good. They sound great as well. Definitely have a listen to a set of those. So the next set I'm going to show you is another pair by Sennheiser. These ones are the Hd25. These are the Mark IIs. Very good set of headphones. They're really great actually if you're a DJ because they're fantastic headphones for mixing on. But you can they'll also be very useful in the studio as well, so perfect for any DJ producers. So a few things to talk about with these. First of all, as I mentioned before, every single part of these is replaceable. We talked about Supraaural and Circumaural before. These ones are a Supraaural set. So generally what you'll find with these is they'll be quite a lot lighter than any of the Circumaural sets. So a couple of other points we should make about this on specs. Frequency response. So we'll go from right down to 16 Hertz and that'll go up to 22 kilohertz. Of course that encompasses the entire range of human hearing anyway, which only runs from 20 Hertz up to 20 kilohertz. So you're going to get every frequency represented on here that you might want. Of course these are a closed design as well, so really good for keeping sound in. Another reason why they're so popular for DJs as well is they actually trap the sound very well. And finally Spl, these will go right up to 120 decibels, which is plenty loud. And another reason why they're also really good for DJs, as you'll get plenty of volume out of them if you're using them in a nightclub. Okay, so the final set from Sennheiser we're going to look at are the Hd380 Pros. They're a higher model from the 280s that I showed you before, and there's a couple of main differences with these. So first of all, frequency response. These ones will extend a bit further. They go right down to 8 Hertz and up to 27 kilohertz. Resistance is still nice and low, so you'll be able to get plenty of level out of them. In terms of Spl, they go up to 110 dB, so a little bit louder than the 280s, so they'll give you heaps of volume to work with. As far as design goes, they're relatively similar. They're a collapsible type as well. Circumaural, they fit nicely. They're actually very comfortable to wear as well. Closed back as well, same as the 280s. So great if you're in noisy environments as well. So a really good set of studio headphones to look at from Sennheiser. So next up, let's take a look at AKG. This is an Austrian company. They make some really pretty amazing products. They do headphones, microphones, heaps of stuff. They're a very, very good company. They've been making hardware for a lot of years, and many of their products are industry standards. So in terms of headphones, there's a pretty massive range, as you'll see. These are a few of them in front of me right now. They go from generally pretty low priced. These ones here are their entry-level headphone, the K44. Really probably not the best thing to be using if you're actually wanting to mix on them, but they're great as booth headphones if you want to give someone them to wear while they're recording. Also, you quite commonly see these in radio studios. They're just a really sort of simple set of closed-back headphones. If we move on from there a bit, there's a model in between which I don't have here to show you, but we'll move up to these ones here, which are the K99s. Similar, the 77s and the 99s are similarly spec'd. There's just a couple of major differences going on with these compared to the 77s. Most notably, these are semi-open. So with these ones, you'll find you'll get generally a more natural sound in terms of the sound stage and also bass response. So that's why they'd be quite a useful set of headphones. Having said that, they're still very reasonably priced as well. You can still get a set of these relatively cheap. So if you're after something just to get yourself into some headphones, these are a good set to look at. So next up, we're going to look at one of the higher models. I'm going to skip a few here of the 1.4 and the 1.7. We're going to jump up here to the 2.7 ones. So these are actually a really good set of headphones. I've owned these myself. Very, very nice. So you'll see they have the larger cup on them. So first of all, straight off the bat, they're a lot more comfortable to wear for a long period of time. In terms of specs on these as well, generally speaking, you'll find they've got a really amazing sound. It makes it very easy to mix on them. They are closed back though. There's an open back version as well, as we've already talked about, that would give you that clearer, more natural sound. In terms of specs straight up, in terms of frequency response, we're going to start here at 18 Hertz. They run right up to 28 kilohertz, which is really good. 104 dB SPL, so you'll get them nice and loud as well. Impedance on these is 55 ohms, so slightly higher than some of the others we've talked about. You'll still get decent volume out of them though. You shouldn't need any external preamps or anything to drive them. So next we're going to take a look at a really good set. These are pretty expensive headphones, so probably not for everybody, but if you're wanting to really stretch out and find some amazing headphones, these are definitely ones to look at. I use a set of these myself for mixing, and I can tell you from personal experience, they're absolutely phenomenal. So these are the K712s. In the AKG lineup right now, these are the top model. There's actually a new one coming now, the 812, which will suit, well, they'll still run alongside, but they'll actually be a model higher than these. Let's look at some features. Well, first of all, the most notable thing is the build quality. They feel absolutely fantastic. They've got really nice padding on them, velvet pads on the cups. They feel absolutely amazing on your head, very light, very comfortable. They're an open design. So again, you'll find that really nice, wide, natural sound that happens with them. I found using these, it's probably the closest thing I've experienced in a set of headphones to what it sounds like just to listen to a set of speakers. It's almost like having the natural sound of listening to speakers attached to your head. So one thing we should look at on these is the frequency response, which is actually a pretty massive range. So they go right down to 10 Hertz and right up to nearly 40 kilohertz. In terms of level, we'll get out of these 105 dB SPL, so plenty of level. Resistance on these 62 ohms, so slightly higher than some of the other ones we've looked at. But still they're relatively easy to drive. I've had no problems with using these in my studio at all. So probably a couple of other cosmetic things to note with these. You get two cables with these, and the cable is completely removable like that, very easy to remove if you need to replace it. The cables that come with it, we have a straight cable here, and they also include a coiled one. Comes in a really nice headphone bag as well, so you definitely get looked after when you buy a set of the higher end AKG headphones. So next up, we're going to take a look at the Beyerdynamic headphones. They're a German company. Again, they make absolutely amazing headphones. So we're going to check out a few in the range. First of all, here I've got the DT150s. These have been in industry standard for a very long time. You see them in a lot of studios. They're great for mixing. They're also great to give to people in booth because of the amazing isolation that they offer. Again, they're a headphone where you can replace all the parts. which makes them really good for long-term use. In terms of spec, you're going to get a pretty massive frequency range on these ones, right down to 5 Hz and up to 30 kilohertz. They'll still give you decent level at 97 decibels for SPL. The only thing that's pretty different with these is the impedance. Now these are a 250 ohm headphone, so what you may find with these is you need to drive them harder, or that you may need an external headphone preamp with them. Not always the case, but it's one of those things to consider depending on what hardware you're using. So with a set of headphones like these, obviously they're a very old design, but don't let looks fool you with these. They're absolutely amazing headphones. They've been around for a lot of years. They've kept the design because it's tried and tested and it just works. So another Bayer model we'll look at, these are the DT770s. So these are a really great set of headphones. You can use these for a number of purposes as well. They're great in the studio, but they also make a great set of headphones if you need them live. Say you needed somebody to monitor through headphones, these are actually quite a common set of headphones to give them. In terms of specs, an interesting thing to note with these is resistance. So there are actually 3 different models of this headphone. One which is low impedance at 32 ohms, there's one at 80, and then there's this one at 250. One thing to be aware of with that is don't think that it's actually such a massive difference. It's actually not as bad. You'll just find with these ones you might need to drive them a little bit harder than the other ones. So another important thing to look at with these is comfort. As we mentioned earlier in the video, comfort's a very important thing if you're going to be wearing them for a long time. These are extremely comfortable, similar to the AKGs. They've got really nice felt padding, so you can wear them for a very, very long time. Probably cosmetically as well, we could say that there's a big difference between the DT150s and these, the 770s. So if you're looking for something a little bit more modern, maybe attractive, then definitely check these ones out. So the final set of Bayers we'll look at are these ones, which are a relatively new product. They're called the Custom One Pros, and they give you something slightly different to the other models in the Bayer lineup. Essentially what you can do with these is actually change their characteristic through a slider that we have on each cup. Which operates in 4 positions and enables you to change the bass response of them. So basically what you can do is add more and more bass. It gives you a rounder sound. The other thing that basically happens when you're doing this is they become more and more closed, so they'll attenuate sound more. Alright, so just a few specs with these. They're extremely low impedance, 16 ohms. In terms of frequency response, you're going to get right down to 5 Hz and go right up to 35 kilohertz, which is great. 96 dB SPL on that, so you'll be able to get them nice and loud. Definitely with a low impedance, they'll work with absolutely anything. You shouldn't have any problems with that. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, something you can customize a bit, something you can get different sounds out of and try different sounds out, these would be a really good set to look at. So next up, let's take a look at a company that's relatively new to the headphone game, and that is KRK. They have got 2 different models of headphones, the KNS series, that have come out not that long ago, and we're all around very impressed with these. So something to just first note with the design, they're actually quite well built. We've got some metal in there, they're nice and sturdy, also foldable, which is really good if you want to take them with you somewhere. In terms of design as well, we've got a detachable cable, which is really good, so you can replace that if you have any other problems. Comfortable pads, they're Circumaural, they'll fit right over your ear, so all round quite a comfortable set of headphones to use, very light as well. We can also do a direct comparison between these ones and the higher model. These are called the 8400s, whereas these are the 6400s. You're just going to get a little bit more of everything with these. So you've got extended frequency response. They'll go slightly louder as well. Impedance is the same, but generally you're going to get a much nicer sound out of these. So definitely ones to look at. So the next company we're going to take a look at is another one that you might not think about when you're going to buy some studio headphones, and that's Shure. So we all know them for their fantastic microphones such as the SM57 and 58, which are of course industry standards. They also make a great range of headphones. There's quite a lot in the range. I'm just going to show you 2 of them today, which are a couple of the better ones in the range. So first up, let's take a look at these ones here. These are called the SRH 840s. So let's just take a look at some physical things on these as well. Straight away you'll notice that they're foldable, so they're really good for storing in your studio if you want to put them away, or also if you're traveling with them, they're very useful. Closed back design, which makes them great for sound not leaking in or out, so makes them usable for a wider range of applications. They are slightly heavy, so I'm not sure how they'd go wearing them for long periods of time, but I think all around, given that you've got really comfortable pads, and they're generally very comfortable headphones as they sit right around the ear. We have detachable cable with these ones. They can be replaced. We've got a coiled cable on this one right now. Headband is nice and padded as well. If we do a bit of a comparison to the 940s, which are the higher model, so you'll see that in construction wise they're pretty much roughly the same. So slightly different things, some different contours here on the headband. They're obviously a different color, and we've got nice velvet pads on these ones. I found as well these ones, as they're a bit lighter, are quite a bit more comfortable to wear for a long time. In terms of spec, there's not a huge amount of difference. These will just go up to 30 kilohertz, which is slightly different. So after listening to these two sets of headphones, I have to say I actually really enjoyed the character of the 840s over these 940s. They just seem to be a bit warmer to me and quite a bit more open, so they could be a really great buy. So next up, we're going to take a look at another brand of fantastic studio equipment, and that is Charter Oak. They make an amazing range of microphones and outboard studio gear, and they also happen to make a great set of headphones. So here they are. These are the SP1s by Charter Oak. First of all, they're quite striking looking, amazingly comfortable, great comfy ear pads there, well made, headband, everything's great. Cable's really nice. We've got a bit of a combination of coiled here and straight. They also come in a really great box as well. So you get this amazing box with it as well. Great to store them in. So absolutely fantastic. Keep your headphones nice. So in terms of listening to these, I've done some comparisons with some of the other higher models of headphone that we look at, and these are actually pretty amazing. So they're a closed set of headphones, but they definitely have a very open character to them. You get an amazing stereo stage from these, and the bass response is perfect as well. So they don't tell you anything that's not there, but they give you exactly what you need to know when you listen to these headphones. If we look at specs, these go from 14 Hz up to just over 24 kilohertz. So this is actually a really interesting comparison to make, because I've showed you some sets of headphones that had much greater frequency response, but these by far sound one of the best that we've actually discussed here today. So it just goes to show that spec isn't everything on good headphones. So we hope you've enjoyed our feature on studio headphones. We've tried to show you quite a big range today. We've also taken you through things that you need to look for when you're buying your studio headphones. So if you need any more information on this, please come in and see us at Osborne Park or Cannington, or check us out online at kosmic.com.au.